Greetings, gentle observer, and welcome. I am RDF, and within this video I will show how the greenhouse warming effect of atmospheric CO2 has been exaggerated out of all proportion, and in so doing created the so-called climate crisis, a crisis that simply does not exist. And in order to demonstrate this, I will make use, if I may, of a stage prop, a simple 1-penny coin. Now imagine, gentle observer, that you too have a 1-penny coin, and when getting into your car, the coin falls out of your pocket and disappears down the back of the car seat, never to be seen again. Now, this gives rise to a number of undisputed scientific facts. Firstly, the 1-penny coin has mass, volume and weight. Secondly, and because of this, the moving of the coin will necessitate the expenditure of energy, in this instance the road fuel in your car. And finally, and because of this, the coin will now adversely affect your car's fuel economy. However, and as can be imagined, so small an effect will this be, that it would be all but impossible to measure, given that there are innumerable other factors that also have an effect upon your car's fuel economy. Are the tyres at the correct pressure, for example? Are you driving in city traffic or on a clear, open road? Is there a roof rack fitted to the car? Are the car's windows open or closed? All of these things, and many, many more, have a far greater effect upon your car's fuel economy than does the humble penny stuck down the back of the car seat. Likewise, CO2 is a recognised greenhouse gas, and so will have an effect upon global temperatures. Indeed, this is indisputable. However, and as with the penny and your car's fuel economy, the effects of this CO2 will be so small as to be unmeasurable, given all the other factors that also affect global temperatures. Volcanic activity, for example, changing oceanic currents, El Niño, the natural ebb and flow of the planet's temperature, sunspot activity, and the amount of clouds within the atmosphere. All of these things, and many, many more, have a far greater effect upon global temperatures than the minuscule amount of CO2 found within the atmosphere. Moreover, CO2 has a number of unique properties, and although it may seem counterintuitive, one of these properties being that the warming effect of CO2 diminishes as the concentration of CO2 increases. And indeed, the warming effect of CO2 has now reached saturation point, so much so that adding more CO2 now will have very little, if any, effect upon atmospheric temperatures. The American scientist Dr. William Happer describes this process by telling us that if you paint a barn red, you may not cover it entirely, and so you may give it a second coat of paint. Now the barn is completely covered, and so if you give it a third, a fourth, or even a fifth coat of paint, the barn will not get any redder. Likewise, adding more CO2 to the atmosphere now will make very little, if any, difference. Another unique property exclusive to CO2 alone is what is called the logarithmic progression. This means that were CO2 to double from, say, 400 to 800 parts per million, and given that this caused a rise in global temperatures of 1 degree Celsius, then to get another 1 degree rise in global temperatures, CO2 would have to double again to 1600 parts per million, and then again to 3200 parts per million, and so on, meaning it gets harder and harder for CO2 to increase global temperatures. This being so, then not only is there no CO2-caused climate crisis, but it is extremely unlikely that there ever will be one, as there are simply not enough fossil fuels left upon the entire planet Earth to achieve this level of atmospheric CO2. Once again, the climate alarmists get it, even basic science, wrong. This being so, and as far as CO2 is concerned at least, there is absolutely nothing to concern ourselves with at the moment, and nothing that warrants the spending of billions of pounds trying to combat a crisis which does not exist, and indeed a crisis that never will exist. When next you are presented with a CO2 climate change contract, simply think of that penny stuck down the back of your car seat. And when comparing this to atmospheric CO2, all becomes clear and in proportion. I am RDF, and I thank you for watching my humble video, and I do so hope you will subscribe and press the notification bell.